Hi, my name's Ian. I'm a dad. I'm an engineer, done some business, and I've been worried about climate change, as I'm sure many people have. Recently, some news came out that looks bad. Uh, is it bad? I'm still optimistic. I'm still wildly optimistic. And largely, I'm optimistic because of what I've been learning about this molecule right here. Nitrogen, the air's 78% nitrogen, and hydrogen we can get from green power. So this, which is green ammonia, is a really interesting substitute for diesel. It's not a perfect substitute, but it's 100% green. It's easy to make. It's basically infinite. Uh, so I'm So let me take you through some of the good news and the bad news. In April, Fortescue, there's announcements all the time, but in April, Fortescue, which is this giant company with the ambition of being one of the biggest players in green energy, announced a joint venture to make green ammonia for fertilizer in Morocco with another big chemical company. Good news, right? Progress, it's happening. In July, same company announced, or well, Fortescue, one of those companies, announced they were laying off 700 people who were focused on hydrogen, green hydrogen. That's a lot of people. That's like 5% of their workforce. So good news, bad news. Where are we? Well, let's go through some of what these people were doing and have a think about it. So Fortescue, are big things happening or not? I'm going to put everything in the context of a story I heard. I call it the NASA hammer story. At one point, a NASA engineer needed a hammer. So he went to the contractor and said, "Get me a 10-ounce hammer." But when he wrote down the request, he added a bunch of zeros, whole bunch of zeros, because it's NASA and they're used to asking for very precise things. So rather than getting a hammer, he got a hammer that was exactly 10 ounces. Cost a lot, cost like $1,000 for a hammer, but he got it. So a NASA hammer to me is when you ask for something and get it, but fail to say, why exactly am I asking for this very expensive thing when maybe there's something that will work just as well that's a fraction of the price? NASA hammer. Couple years ago, they have Fortescue has this wild mission. They're going to take the profits from their iron ore business and pour it into building a green energy business. They want to be hydrogen. They see hydrogen as potentially the most globally traded seaborne energy. So we're not talking transmission lines, but more traded than oil. Big ambition. Over the 2 years in between, October 2023, they have this giant plan for how they're going to transition their operations and how they're going to leverage some of that to build new markets, right? So they do iron ore, they're going to green up their iron ore, and in doing that, they're going to have things they can sell to other people. Iron ore mining, their scope one emissions, their direct emissions, mostly diesel. You have heavy equipment, big shovels, excavators. Uh, you have haul trucks, again, just big diesel cat things, Caterpillar, rail, locomotives, diesel, shipping, tugs are diesel, international ships are, um, uh, bunker. Uh, you have generators. They have a whole plan. We're going to do this. We're going to do this. Different project teams. They're spending real dollars. They spent $200 million on batteries, trying to make haul trucks batteries. Now, to me, this is classic NASA hammer. A battery operated haul truck is technically possible. Why not use green fuel though? Some of the stuff makes sense though. Green generations, the next one, 75 million green transmission, 60 million. Sure. Next one, buses. They're going to run buses with hydrogen. $60 million on this. Trains, green trains. This is a really interesting project. So when they talk these haul trucks, it's 60% of their overall emissions. So if you think about mining, it's a lot of just trucks moving dirt and ore around. Their ambition is to do battery power or fuel cells. NASA hammer. Power, all this makes sense, and backup power using green ammonia, right? Green ammonia generators rather than diesel generators. All this makes sense to me. Shipping. They want to do big ships with green ammonia, but tugboats with battery hybrid, NASA hammer. Rail. Green ammonia locomotives in some places. And then this really neat project, I doubt they can resell it, but a lot of good press. Other people have told me about this. It's neat. The ore is uphill. So you extract the ore, go downhill, regen braking, unload it, and now you have full batteries, go back up the hill. It's this infinite train. Neat idea. So yeah, 700 people are fired, 6 senior leaders are out. So am I optimistic? Of those, I mean, 700 people focused on hydrogen. And I looked at through LinkedIn who has ammonia in their profile. Only 60 people. Only 60 people at Fortescue have ammonia. Uh, because an idea didn't work doesn't mean other ideas won't. Because hydrogen, I think it just has physics problems. It's not energy dense. It leaks. It takes an enormous amount of energy to compress. The fuel cells aren't reliable. But just because hydrogen didn't work doesn't mean that these big companies can't take on big efforts. There's ammonia peppered in there. If ammonia is working for your generator, why not for your haul truck? So it's negative press, it's bad news, it's uncertainty. But I think what they're cutting was probably a NASA hammer. I think it probably passed some technical hurdles. Yes, it was feasible, but crazy expensive. And you got to ask, why are we doing this? There you go. This is my read between the lines with a very ammonia focused lens. Take it if you disagree, write me and I'm open. I'd love to hear your opinion. Cheers.